And speaking of things getting even worse, let us go across the pond to Old Blighty, where we have this from Politics UK. The government is set to scrap trial by jury for most cases. Only murder, rape, manslaughter, and a few public interest cases will go to a jury, while all other cases will be decided by a single judge. If you combine this with speech restrictions, an ideologically captured judiciary, you have the near-perfect system to suppress dissent. Because there's talk that under this new scheme, they can jail people indefinitely for up to 5 years. But I'm sure that will never, ever be abused. Ever. Robert Jenrick, tweeting out and posting a video from Question Time in Parliament. We've had jury trials for over 800 years, but David Lammy, that's the Deputy Prime Minister, was too much of a coward to tell us why he's scrapping them. He's stealing our freedoms and hiding as he does it.
To the Justice Secretary. This government lurches from one outrage to another. Yesterday, the Chancellor shredded her promises and dropped a £26 billion tax bomb on working Britain. Meanwhile, we learnt that the Justice Secretary is plotting to discard centuries of jury trials without so much of a by your leave. And where is the Justice Secretary to answer for this? Do we need to send out a search party to Savile Row in case he's gone suit shopping again this morning? Or perhaps he couldn't face up to the embarrassment that he is now destroying the very principles he once championed. Jury trials are fundamental to the justice system. They're fundamental to our democracy, and we must protect them. Not my words. Those of the Justice Secretary himself. And this time, he was right.
Until it was inconvenient for him and for his party. They know they're losing. They know they're losing bad. And yet, rather than just graciously admitting defeat, having the decency to call for snap elections, no, they're just saying, yeah, you know that whole Magna Carta thing? Yeah, let's just throw that out the window. We don't need that. Let's use hate speech laws against our opposition and against protesters and lock them up for up to 5 years without trial. Let's just throw a scare into everyone. Lock them up, throw away the key. I mean, maybe in that 5 years we put them in front of a judge that has been appointed by us and who is effectively one of us and who almost guarantees all the outcomes that we could want. Lecture people on how diversity is our strength and blah 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 before they jail them for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, however long they're in the mood to jail people. Clang bang. See you later.
There is wisdom in 12 ordinary citizens pooling their collective experiences of the world. But now he's in government. He's doing the complete opposite. He blames the court backlog. But if the courtrooms standing empty this year were used, the backlog would be down by 5,000 to 10,000 cases.
Yeah, they could clear the backlog quite easily in Britain if they would open the fucking courts and make use of them. But instead, no. We have courtrooms that just stand empty. Why? No one really knows. And their response is to not make use of the resources that they already have, but no, to do the old Rahm Emanuel approach of never let a crisis go to waste, a crisis that they themselves created. Tear up the Magna Carta, get rid of jury trials, and you watch. They will start getting more aggressive, and you will see more aggressive jailing of people who dare to criticize the government. We've been watching them create this system for years now, and this is it, people. This is it.
He pleads poverty on law and order, but yesterday the Chancellor came here and found £16 billion more to spend on benefits. The truth is the Labour Party just don't think ordinary people are up to it. They don't trust them with these decisions. Give away the Chagos Islands, shackle us to the ECHR, scrap jury trials, all because lawyers know best.
Lawyers never know best. Lawyers are the last people that you want deciding these sorts of things. If anything, lawyers are the sorts of people that we need to disenfranchise the most. lawyers need to be, much like politicians, relegated to a sort of second-class citizen status as a sort of collective punishment for the absolute ruination that they have brought to the Western world. I think a far more merciful, magnanimous solution than the Shakespearean method, which is, to quote Shakespeare, let us kill all the lawyers.
And when the Justice Secretary is summoned here to the People's House, what does he do? He cowers. He cowers away. Well, the people who make up juries,
That's what cowards
the
do.
British people, they won't wear it anymore. So I've one simple question for the minister he sent in his stay. Will she protect what is fundamental to our democracy, or will she stand by as the Justice Secretary casually casts aside centuries of English liberty?
Yeah, here.
This government lurches from what...
Yeah, so that's all happening over there. And, oh, we've got an update to one particular story. This is from the State of Politics. This is Bo Dade, one of the contributors to the podcast, The Lotus Eaters. I'm going to move myself back over here into my customary corner. On chat, I'm going to slide you back over here. There we are. Right. Remember that whole story about the massive rubbish dump? I believe it was near Oxfordshire. It was just a gigantic canal of trash, of garbage. It looked absolutely disgusting and just an absolute environmental nightmare. Well, we've got an update now. Apparently that was all the result of one person. One person, and they're not revealing his identity, and they're telling the public, don't speculate. The Coulter rule strikes again. What do we want to bet? It is a minority from some third world tin pot little country in Africa, the Middle East, maybe India. What do we think the over-under is on that one, chart? Anyway, let's check out the video.
Bo, do you remember the curious case of the gigantic field of trash? The garbage mound. Rivers of trash, garbage, rubbish, whatever you want to call it. Well, a man has been arrested. Just a man.
One man.
Just a man. Now,
one man did
we
all
don't really
of
know
this.
much about it, to be honest. I had to go hunting for this. Again, considering this shocked pretty much the entire nation, aside from third worlders, everyone was really shocked and appalled. Like this gained huge traction online. It was a massive uproar, huge amounts of anger from, civilized people, just i.e., natives.
Yes.
Yeah, this was
Understandably so.
just gently hidden somewhere in the BBC, news page. So just to remind anyone watching that hasn't actually seen this, this is drone footage of a gigantic mountain of shit, not excrement, but trash, garbage, in the Oxford countryside.
Right off the motorway. Right off a dual carriageway.
Just there. We don't live like this. This is not something we've ever... I don't remember anything ever like this.
One person did all this. That's incredible. Just shocking.
Ever happening before. Now, it may have. You can correct me down below in the comments if maybe you guys are familiar with another incident like this, but I'm really not. Not like this. Not, again, I'll play that again. Not to this extent. I mean, this is a mountain of garbage longer than delivery trucks, because you can see them going past in the drone footage. Like, that is huge. So this was just randomly discovered in Oxfordshire. People were like, there's mountains of shit there, guys. Right next to, I don't know if it shows it here. I think it does actually. So as it scrolls down through over to this side, right here, just out over here off to the right is a river. So as it rains, all of this detritus will end up washing into our already damaged and bad rivers as is, because we've allowed water companies to fill them with shit, basically, and chemicals and crap, and damage it even more, damage the ecosystems even more, because apparently we're led by politicians that just simply do not care about this country remotely, yet they, profess to want to lead it. So that was it was a huge concern, a huge environmental hazard, massive problem.
One quick note I'll just quickly add to that is the river, but also the water table. When you leave loads of trash like that and it's not in a proper place, like a designated dump that's got a big slab of concrete, then all the stuff would eventually kind of dissolve and get through into the water table and poison the water that way as well.
Yep.
So it's a truly environmental. Right, it's truly bad. It's not just a bit annoying and a bit of an eyesore and a bit smelly. It's like, no, it's really bad. You're poisoning the landscape.
Yeah. And seeing as we're an agricultural country, should be, that's why we have the rolling hills that we're famous for, because that's all built from agriculture. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Like, this is...
This is an environmental disaster. And it's not being sold to the public in headlines as an environmental disaster because the man with the fly tipper doesn't fit the narrative.
Bad, basically. So just as a reminder, that's what happened. And then we get this article 6 hours ago at time of recording this on the 25th of November. Just says a man has been arrested. Just a man. So a 39-year-old man from the Guildford area. It's quite far. That's reasonably far from...
More than likely not originally from Guildford. Probably not even originally from the UK.
Oxford, isn't it? Guildford? It's quite far.
Yeah, well...
Not super close. Getting closer to that sort of London area. Guildford, I guess, isn't it? Ish. Yeah. That's, Guildford, is that in Surrey?
Is that near Surrey? Is that to drive there?
I think that's right.
I mean, very deliberately, over and over and over again. That was the other thing that when I first saw this, I saw this headline like an hour ago or so. I just thought, a man. Well, one, of course, it's suspicious and weird that they're not describing him in any way or giving a name or anything. Just a man, okay. But that it's one person. It's like, I find it hard to believe that it's, although it is possible that if he just was doing this for weeks or months on end, truckload after truckload after truckload, okay, it's possible it's one person, but it seems unlikely to me that it's just one person who's responsible for this. Again, when you look at that drone footage, it's an actual...
It's mountain.
It's a mountain.
Yeah.
How's one person done that? Even with...
Well, so I watched the video. I watched a video of some like...
More than likely, it was done over the course of weeks and maybe even months. Who knows? He could have been at it for well over a year. We really don't know.
Salvationist blokey on YouTube. I honestly can't actually remember the channel, otherwise I'd give him a shout out. But he went there to see it in person, and it is professionally processed rubbish, right? Like there's plastics that are all like mulched up, basically. So it looks like this man has some form of company, basically. Right. I would imagine. That's what I would. I'm just guessing. I have no idea, but that based on all available information and the people that had gone to see it, that's what it's looking like anyway. Now, here's the annoying thing. So Prime Minister Keir Starmer is like, we're going to use all available powers to make those responsible pay for the cleanup. Well, can you just clean it up first? Can you just clean it up first?
Yeah, I'm going to press X to doubt on that. All available powers. Would any of us be surprised if all of the available powers just turned out to be, there's no available powers? I really don't think anyone's going to be held accountable for this. If this was a native-born Englishman doing this for the fly tipper, you can bet the BBC would have his name plastered all over. But no, all we have is a man has been arrested over a huge pile of fly-tipped waste dumped in a field in Oxfordshire.
Maybe. Can we do that? Because it's been sat there for quite a long time. We've got quite, actually, very, very, very heavy downpours of rain recently. Like, there was,
Who knows how much of that is washed into the river.
I can't remember which day it was, but it was like in the last week or so, there were several months worth of rain all in one go. There were massive floods. There was massive floods in Swindon at the time, actually. Like,
So this could have been a much higher heap of waste. Much, much higher. No telling how much of it has just washed out and possibly gotten into the river and the water supply.
it needs to be cleaned up immediately. It shouldn't have been sat there any longer than it needed to be.
You know what,
And you don't really have any, you don't do any of this stuff. You're weak. You're pathetic.
yeah.
This guy should. It's not about paying for it to be cleaned up. This guy should be made a massive example out of. Right? Like he should be. I don't know, actual prison time. To be fair, like I'd be happy with getting prison time.
Yeah.
Anyone who did this, no, yeah, you spend a few years in prison. Yeah,
I mean,
you should care for your environment. You should care for where you live. You know, you're the stewards of this land for the next generation. You don't just fill it with shit. It's growth. So yeah, a few years in prison, I'd be fine with that.
those numbers there are absolutely remarkable. 150 meters long, nearly 500 feet long, and 6 meters deep. 20 foot deep.
That's huge.
That's mad to me. Although the thing that I didn't realise, that I've literally just learned when you said it just then, is that it's some sort of professional, semi-professionally mulched up type.
You see, you can see it there. Look.
Yeah. Now you say it, I can see it. Yeah. So what it seems like, it's not just like one builder dude who has to get rid of like old broken wardrobes and a bit of like insulation and stuff. No, it looks like exactly as you said. It looks like someone where it's their job, it's their business to sort of professionally get rid of rubbish, and that it would cost them loads of money to do that correctly. And in order to just pocket all the money as profit, you just dump it somewhere, and that's it. And you keep the money.
Whoever did this can't be the only ones in the world doing this sort of thing. I've heard it said and seen over and over again how much recycling programs and whatnot have just turned out to be massive scams. Especially a plastic recycling or styrofoam recycling. The programs that we have in the Western world to recycle paper products and glass are excellent. We've got those down to a science. But the thing that people are still struggling with, plastics.
That totally makes sense.
There's a lot of plastic in that pile.
Still,
there.
he must have been doing it for a long time. Even if he's got quite a big lorry, even if he's got like a 14-ton lorry or whatever. 20 feet deep, 500 feet long. That's more than a couple of trips, isn't it?
He's been at that for a while.
It speaks to me that someone's been doing this for ages.
Yes.
Yes,
what a
it's
piss take.
Yeah, it's massive, isn't it? It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane.
What a scumbag.
Yeah. So they've started to clean some of it up by the looks of things. Still not really good enough, though.
No, damage has been
Shouldn't
done.
have
Not
to.
good
It's
enough.
exactly one of those sorts of things. It should just never have happened in the first place. It just should never have happened in the first place. I'll be interested to know if and when we find out who this person actually is.
They even said it. Phil Davies, head of the Joint Unit for Waste Crime, says, "We would ask that the public and media do not speculate about the identity of any other individuals who may be connected with the offending at this location or interfere with the waste on site as we continue to..." Well, so we're not allowed to speculate on the identity?
Yeah, how about you just fucking tell us who it is that you've arrested? Why don't you just release the identity? I mean, we all know why. Because they're probably some protected minority group, and the Joint Unit for Waste Crime is more interested in making sure they don't flare up any racial or ethnic tensions, which probably could be engendered if they were to, at least in their mind, they think it will, if they reveal the identity of who did this. Which maybe it will, maybe it won't, but the people have a right to know.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah. All right, I'll just wait until it comes out, because if he does go to court, which it must do one way or the other, then it'll become a matter of public record. And then I'll say whatever I like, Phil. Because at the moment, it would be pure speculation whether they're...
Yeah, it definitely could be a native for sure. The higher chance is it's going to be a foreigner though. There is a higher statistical chance of it being a foreigner.
Yes.
Or Irish. Oh,
Yeah.
Shots fired at the Irish.
Well, no, traveller community. Yeah, it could be, definitely.
God knows. I wouldn't imagine... Well, a normal person wouldn't do this. A normal person that considered this island their home, their ancestral home.
500 feet long.
They... 6 meters deep. That's like...
That's mental.
20 feet. That's the size of a house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's as high as a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably not even easy to back a lorry in and keep doing that until it's piled up
No.
20 foot high. How's
they
that
were,
even done?
They were off-roading.
Cheeky, dirty scumbag. Ugh.
It's a miracle they didn't get stuck in the mud. Probably did a few times. Anyways, that's from the State of Politics with Bodade. Post a link to that in the chat. I'm wondering... Oh, this is good. I've been wanting to get to this for a while.
Hello, ladies.
This is from Lotus Eaters Daily. Title is Exodus of the Europeans. Those of you on Twitter, maybe you follow Naomi Sabed. It is apparently not safe for her to live in a native Germany anymore. I'm going to move myself over a bit. It apparently is not safe for her to live in Germany anymore. She's been a free speech activist for many years, supporter of the AfD, and as she notes in her tweet, she's been the target of intelligence surveillance, state media defamation, threats by Antifa, and she's now applying for asylum due to political persecution. She's got people in her corner, a lot of big names, but she's one of those special cases. I don't know if other people are going to be so lucky, but let's have a look at this video here.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well today. I just wanted to have a discussion with you about something. So, towards the end of October, the German activist Naomi Seat, and I apologise if I'm mispronouncing that, basically declared her intention to gain political asylum in America because of the persecution of the German state against
It's getting bad.
basically its own citizenry, right? Like Germany, as every other nation in Western Europe and most of the world.
They're going after people in Germany for tweets poking fun at politicians. There was a whole thing on 60 Minutes in America about it, done almost without any judgment, but even with tacit support, and these German officials just saying, yeah, this is what we're doing. We're arresting people for mean tweets. We're arresting people for supposed fake news or misinformation. We'll just knock on your door with the police, and we'll drag you off in the middle of the night. I don't even think a certain Austrian painter could have dreamed of having power like that. And yet here we are.
The Anglo world as well, and we'll get onto that. Because essentially it has reduced us to second-class citizens in our own home, and it has empowered foreign voices who are hell-bent on vengeance and destruction for past grievances of colonialism and just racial guilt and antagonism against us. And so all of these things are coming to a head, and we're really in the point now where, for those Europeans who are left in Europe, and we are obviously still the overwhelming majority, but people are really starting to feel the boot, people are really starting to get scared, and it's having a material impact on our lives. Things get harder every year, it seems. You have to reflect on back during the Rivers of Blood speech by Enoch Powell, when he talked about the fact that that speech was given in reaction to the fact that a gentleman, some local constituents of his in Wolverhampton, simply said, on this trajectory, England will not be a safe or good place for my children to grow up. Well, we're several generations down the line now. It's not simply their children, but their children's children.
Yes,
and
it's all come
the
true.
trajectory since Powell's time has, of course, only gotten significantly worse, probably in ways that Powell himself, great intellect that he was, couldn't have even conceived of. And so, as Naomi points out here, as a free speech advocate and supporter of the AFD party, I'm the target of intelligence surveillance, state media defamation, and Antifa threats. And I totally believe this, right? The German state in particular has been remarkably bold in its rhetoric about
I believe Antifa's still based out of Germany, aren't they? Or at least a sizable portion of the network is based in Germany.
Basically doing away with the AFD party, because actually it represents a threat to democracy while simultaneously working towards being the most popular party amongst the demos of that democracy in Germany. And the AFD isn't even really a meaningfully radical party. It's it's at the left wing of the actual right. I would describe it as. But nonetheless, the threat is real, and though I might disagree with the action that Naomi has taken here, I can't pretend that I don't understand it. I can't.
There's at some point you're faced with two options: stay and fight, or run, seek shelter somewhere else. I don't blame anybody for either choice. I really don't. If you feel it is your duty to stay and fight, I totally understand, and I hope that you're successful. There are others, though, that say, no, I need to live and fight another day. I have to run. As someone who lives in exile in America, I totally understand that. I wouldn't go back to the UK now. The things I talk about on stream, the things I tweet about, I think that alone would, eventually I would run afoul of the authorities. I don't trust a situation like that to not happen. So I stay here in America, where I at least enjoy free speech protection. So I can understand Naomi wanting to seek asylum in the US. At least here, she would have more freedom to do the work that she's doing. Whereas in Germany, she doesn't have that freedom. And the authorities could come for her at any moment. So either way, whatever people choose, I don't blame them in the slightest. And I totally understand.
Pretend that I don't understand it. And what's more as well, it's obviously not just activists who are constantly in the fight day in, day out as well. It's a mass of Britons as well. You have here the number of Britons leaving the UK higher than previously thought. And actually, these are dire numbers, ladies and gentlemen.
Especially a lot of the wealthier people of means, they see the writing on the walls and they're getting out. Because all they see is a gigantic tax bill coming their way. So a lot of these people are going to places like Cyprus, Dubai, other countries in Europe. Some are coming over to the United States. Some are moving to Canada, perhaps. And who can blame them? Because if they stay, they're just going to be bled dry. And they're going to be living in a fundamentally unsafe country, under a government that hates them and wants them dead.
the number of British nationals who have left the United Kingdom last year has risen from 77,000 to 257,000.
Jesus.
And this is according to revised immigration statistics. Now, obviously, I have to bear in mind, of course, that just because they are British nationals, that doesn't actually mean that they are necessarily British. I know this is a very tough thing for the left to understand, intentionally, of course, but that could well be the case. But still, it speaks to a level of flight from Britain that is truly damning of the current establishment and of the trajectory where we're going, because obviously if things might be tough now, but if they saw hope on the horizon, then there would be many, many reasons to stay. So we can only deduce that actually a lot of this is down to the fact that they don't actually have any hope for the future here. And what a terrible thing it is. Now, obviously, a lot of this is also going to be channeled by economics and the fact that...
Yeah, a lot of people, maybe they are native-born Britons, maybe not. Either way, they just don't see much future for themselves hanging around the UK. So, they're packing the bags and they're leaving. Again, no one can blame them for that.
Labour can't seem to go a day without finding something else to tax us on. I saw milkshake tax being the most ridiculous latest farcical thing.
It is ridiculous.
But yeah, it's truly, truly terrible. And so we get
really?
to the question, I suppose, that we're asked here by Lee, where he says, if Trump allowed Brits to move to the United States and become US citizens, would you go?
Britbong's in the chat. What do you think? If you were allowed to move to the US and become a US citizen, would you go? I put that question to you, UK gang, in the chat.
Now, the comments seem to be quite mixed on this, but...
Let's see. Mark's seen a hold of US visas, was working in the US earlier this year, been trying to talk my wife into us moving to Texas. She's having none of it so far. And Lee responding, "Marry me."
My 2 cents, I would not, under any circumstances, and that is not, and I want to be clear about this, that is not because in any way I'm tied up with obligations and a very, very good job here at the Load Seaters. Even if I was working in Morrison's, I would not leave this country. Right, I love this country. It's my homeland. It's the land that my great-grandfather fought in a trench for, and I'm not leaving it, hell or high water. Even if Britain were to become the worst of the multicultural hellholes when I reach the age of 8,
on its way.
Still, I would endure it here. Now, obviously, this speaks to a hypothetical level of courage and conviction that I appreciate. I've not actually been tried on yet, but I can assure you that the sentiment is there. But what's more as well, why move to the United States? Why is the United States in a greater position than we are at the time?
Brits have options. They can do like a lot of big money types and move over to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. They could probably head further east to places like Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. That would be... Those 3 in particular, you would enjoy an incredibly low cost of living and world-class infrastructure and services. Probably even a higher level of quality of life, more luxurious living for a lot less. So you go over there and do rather well for yourself. And especially if you have a job that permits you to, work remotely, then, yeah, go for it, I say. But you can also understand that sort of passionate desire to just stay and fight. This is my home country. Born here, ancestors born here, or die here, for better or for worse, going to tough it out. I understand both. Believe me, I do. I would say I necessarily don't judge, because I do have an opinion on this sort of thing. But I do understand both sides, and I see merits in both arguments, and it really does depend on the individual and on their particular life circumstances. I just want my people to flourish and prosper. In the end, that's my big motivation. I want them to be happy, safe, and prosperous. I think it's the best thing you could hope for anyone, really, but especially for your people. And I do hope that my people can get back to a place where they can be safe, happy, and prosperous once again. Much of this decline is a choice by poor leadership, but we can choose better. We can make a different decision. We can choose to go in a different direction. We can choose prosperity again. Lunchtime. Hey, let's go.
Time of recording this, I just did a segment on the podcast yesterday talking about what had recently been happening in Dearborn, which is now an Arab American, so just Arab really, majority city in the United States. And it's very quick to point out, and someone noted this in the comments the other day, that of course they're merely pointing out this is the first Arab majority city in America, which of course implies that there will be many, many others. And when we look at what's happening with New York and how Mamdani owes his victory to basically ethnic displacement of the WASP inhabitants of New York in exactly the same way that the English were forced to flee from London, the problems that cripple us here in the United Kingdom are not so different from the United States. In fact, I would personally argue that they are even more grievous in the United States, but hidden better by the sheer scale of land in America and how distant some of these problems can perhaps feel at times.
The Dearborn, Michigan is very quickly becoming an Arab Muslim enclave. It's been turning into that for a long time, but you wouldn't have known it. Most people would not know it because they're not there, because the United States is a very big country. And unless you're actually in the enclave on a daily basis, seeing it for yourself, you'd never really know. Unless you went there. And there's, like you said, there's a lot of landmass in the United States. So, very easy for something like that to hide in plain sight. And oftentimes, these sorts of things are not noticed by ordinary people until it's too late.
But nonetheless, as well, you have here, although it seems to have mixed up the order that they were said in, Lee points out that, well, in America, they are currently deporting millions. And I think by the end of Trump's presidency, they'll have deported about 8 to 9 million. But
those are rookie numbers. We ought to get those numbers up.
I mean, I think that's pretty optimistic, Lee, to be honest with you, but that's your opinion. If any Republican wins the next election, that will continue. They are rolling it back. In the United Kingdom, we are not. Unless Reform wins, we are done.
Even if Reform wins, I'm not sure that they're going to... I don't think they're going to roll it back. As long as you have people like Zia Yusuf in influential positions in Reform, he's going to be whispering into Nigel's ear, you try to deport people like me, you will lose the next election. But I also don't think, as much as they're doing well in the polls, Reform is not the way forward.
Lee, I'm sorry. Look, I'm sure you're a great guy and everything, but there's a critical error in what you're saying here, of course, which is the fact that ICE are merely deporting the illegal immigrants. And so much of the problem, as we drum on time and time again, are of course caused by the sheer mass of legal migration. And this, for all of the clever and witty memes posted by Homeland and the White House about how they're going to deport Ilhan Omar, or they're going to, actually appeal to the homeland, the ethnos of heritage Americans. In policy and in practice, they are not doing it. And so the fate of America on its current trajectory is not going to be dissimilar to what we're currently going on through in Europe. And so it is in Canada, so it is in Australia, so it is in New Zealand. We cannot run from this. Now, Naomi has made the calculation that actually the best way that she can serve Germany is doing it from the position of America, because at least in America, she's not going to be persecuted by the administration, by the state. And I understand that. And perhaps that will do well enough for now. But how will it do in 20 years? America, as it stands, is 55% white. This is not going to last forever.
No,
and so I would personally encourage Europeans to stay, to ride the tiger. And because actually, and I say this candidly, for all of our talk, I have never been more optimistic of the position that Europe finds itself in than I have been in these past 2 years. I truly believe that we can turn this around. It is, I mean, a lot of this, from my own personal belief, comes from Rupert Lowe sort of stepping into politics and having someone...
If there's anyone in UK politics who does offer me a glimmer of hope, it is Rupert Lowe. Now, there's a man who deserves to be the next Prime Minister, because he actually possesses a vision. He actually tries to do shit. Nigel? Can't be bothered. Rupert is actually someone who wants to get things done. And I think more than anything that makes him a threat to the establishment. But if anyone deserves to be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, it's Rupert Lowe. Because he's got the spirit. He's got the drive. And I think even in the position that he's in now, he could still find good people to form a government. But he is going to be, even if he were to become the next Prime Minister, he would be in the absolute fight for his life. Literally and figuratively. Because he would not only be facing substantial opposition from the establishment parties, Labour obviously, but probably the Tories too, and maybe even some elements of reform. He's also going to have to go up against the civil service, the Sir Humphrey Applebys of the British government. That right there needs significant purges and reforms to get rid of as many of them as possible, get rid of as many people in the civil service as possible, get rid of as many of the quangos, the quangocracy, as they call it. Just clear it out. And if anything, to start fresh from the beginning. But that is going to be a monumentally epic fight. And he will be attacked from every angle possible. He may very well be able to get it done, but it will come at great cost. The price that he and any of his supporters will pay will be tremendous. I mean, we are talking William Wilberforce levels of price to be paid. William Wilberforce practically gave his life to end slavery. He fought with every ounce of strength that he had, and only lived long enough to receive the news that slavery had been ended in Britain. When he heard that news, he breathed his last. The changes that need to be made in Britain, in the United States, in Europe, in the entire Western world, this is the sort of price that will have to be paid. People are going to need to sacrifice their very lives and essences to get done what must be done. That is where we are at. That is why I say the hour is late. The cost has gone up tremendously to where the sacrifice now will be people risking their very lives, fighting with every ounce of strength in them to achieve reform. That is where we are at.
To the right of Nigel Farage, not only politically to the right, but someone who is not willing to give an inch to the rotten establishment that has actually put us here in the first place, who is not afraid of being called a racist, who is not afraid of the consequences of such a label, because he understands that morally we are right and this is ours, and that no one who has arrived here in the past 80 years has more right to it than we do. And what's more as well, there are a good cohort of younger faces, younger voices, talented people that Rupert is garnering around himself. What's more, we're also in a position now where the old parties of the 20th century, both the Conservatives and Labour, are collapsing, and both are likely to face an extinction level event come the next election, and that
God
will
willing, yes.
help to clear out the rot and allow a true fight to be had for the heart of the nation.
Honest, that needs to happen. Labour, the Tories, the Lib Dems, the Greens. There just needs to be a clean sweep. And the parties need to go extinct. Because as he said, they have become the detritus that is rotting away the system from within. They all have to go. Clean sweep, fresh start. Desperately needed. Desperately needed.
Between the populist left and the emerging nationalist right. And so I do actually think that our position is stronger now than it was when we were being held back by the Tories. And frankly, the Labour Party aren't strong enough nor smart enough to hold it back and contain it. So our demographics are still firm. They're not good, but they are at least still 73% English. And what's more as well, as we say often here, the heartlands that are untouched by these problems will rally to our side when the problems reach their doorstep as well. And what's more as well,
those problems are coming.
There's not really anywhere that I'd be happy with. And this is just me speaking personally. I'm not denying that America is not a wonderful country, because it is. And I wish you all extraordinarily well. And I would.
No, I take a moment here to say that I've done all right for myself in America. Maybe not the best, but I've done all right. It could be a lot worse. And I'm grateful that I have my family here with me as well. That in these past few years, as my own life as I've encountered my own share of difficulties in my life, I am incredibly grateful that I have my family that I can turn to, who have always had my back and who have helped me out of many situations that in their time when it happened to them, they had no one they could turn to. And as the one thing that I think they are deserving of so many blessings in this life and in the next is because they made that decision that it's going to be just a little bit better for my generation. That alone I'm grateful. And it's something that we should all strive for. I think there's too many people in the older generations that look at the younger ones and just say they deserve nothing and they will receive nothing. I think that's wrong. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. America is a truly wonderful country. In many ways, it is still a land of opportunity. It is not what it once was. It is suffering just as much as any Western country, but it does remain one of the few places to ride out the storm. And frankly, right now, I'd rather be here than anywhere else in the world. Though there are a few places in the world I should love to escape to, at least for the holiday. And by God, I could use a holiday right now. After these past few years, I could definitely do with another holiday.
You another 250 years. But if I were to personally leave Britain, I don't know if I could ever actually live with that decision. It matters to me too much. And I know it matters to many people listening to this a great deal as well. And so I'm not suggesting that, as I say, Naomi has personally done anything wrong by going to America. She's clearly doing what she thinks best.
She's doing what's best for her and what's best for her safety, and probably even for the safety of her family. I don't know if she's married or not. Well, she's doing what's best for her own self-interest, and you can't blame her for that.
But I do believe that the fight for the soul of Europe has to be fought in Europe. It requires us to be here, to go into the institutions, to take them back, or simply to dissolve them if they are unsuitable, as many of them are.
Okay, fair point. I do believe, though, that a multi-frontal assault or a multi-frontal strategy can be effective. I think there's just as much good work that could be done for the diaspora outside of the country as there can be with patriots within the country. The Lord knows it's an effective strategy for the opposition, for our enemies. So I don't know if I agree with the idea of concentrating forces per se. I think there is advantages in fighting the war on many fronts. Though I also recognize the risk of spreading oneself too thin. That is also a risk, and we would be woefully naive to deny it.
Can rebuild from this, and I would encourage you all to stick around to help that be possible. We are finally in the position where the establishment, after decades and decades, cannot kick the immigration question further down the road. It is here. They understand at last that this is the number one concern of voters, which is why you see even the Labour Party giving these political gestures and lip service to it. And the fact of the matter is that the more that the problem intensifies, the more radical the solution will have to be to remedy the problems that it has created. And with that, we may finally see the Shire again.
We may very well. God willing, we shall see the Shire. Give that a like. Make sure, chat, you go follow Lotus Eaters Daily and also podcast The Lotus Eaters. Boston, no longer part of the US, now part of Korshovo. Munya!